Crimea is facing a turning point. A key Russian lifeline is burning. One Ukrainian strike has raised new alarms. Is Crimea now cut off from Russia? What happens next could change the war. Watch carefully till the end. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we are focusing on a major development that could reshape the course of the Ukraine war. Reports indicate that a critical Russian lifeline connecting mainland Russia to Crimea has been struck following a Ukrainian attack. This route is not just symbolic. It plays a central role in supplying fuel, food, weapons, and reinforcements to Russian forces stationed on the peninsula. Fires, explosions, and emergency responses were reported near key infrastructure points. This triggered serious concerns about supply disruptions. Crimea has long been one of Russia's most valuable strategic assets in this conflict. Any damage to its support network immediately raises regional and global attention. Ukraine has repeatedly stated that Crimea remains occupied territory. It has also said that military infrastructure there is a legitimate target. This strike appears deliberate, carefully timed, and strategically calculated rather than random. The goal seems clear. Weaken logistics, apply pressure, and force Russia to divert resources to defense instead of offense. In this video, we will break down what was reportedly hit. We will explain why this lifeline matters. We will also explore how this could impact the wider conflict in the Black Sea region. Every section will connect the dots. This will help you clearly understand why this moment is being described as a potential game changer. Stay with us as we analyze the facts, the strategy, and the possible consequences unfolding right now today. To understand why this strike matters so much, we must first look at Crimea's role in Russia's war strategy. Since 2014, the peninsula has functioned as a military hub, logistics center, and political symbol for Moscow. It hosts major naval bases, airfields, missile systems, and command centers. These facilities support operations across southern Ukraine. Crimea also enables Russia to project power into the Black Sea. It allows control over key maritime routes. The lifeline, reportedly targeted, connects these facilities to mainland supply chains. Fuel convoys, ammunition transports, and troop movements rely on this connection every single day. If this route is damaged or disrupted even temporarily, it creates immediate logistical stress. Delays increase vulnerability. Commanders are forced to make difficult decisions. Ukraine has increasingly focused on infrastructure strikes rather than direct frontline assaults. This approach stretches Russian defenses. It also exposes weak points, protecting long supply routes. The reported flames and damage, therefore, signal more than physical destruction. They represent a strategic message. That message is that Crimea is not beyond reach. Its defenses can be challenged. This raises the cost of occupation. It also increases uncertainty for Russian planners. International scrutiny is intensifying. The psychological impact is significant as well. It undermines the perception of safety Russia has tried to maintain around Crimea. Future stability, therefore, becomes far more uncertain now. Following the reported strike, information began spreading rapidly across social media and international news outlets. Videos, images, and satellite observations appeared to show smoke, fire, and emergency activity near critical infrastructure points. Official statements from both sides remain limited. Analysts are closely examining available evidence. They are trying to assess the scale of the damage. Even partial disruption can have meaningful consequences. Logistics depend on consistency and timing. Russia may still have alternative routes. These routes are often longer, slower, and more vulnerable to further attacks. Ukraine's strategy appears focused on applying sustained pressure rather than relying on a single decisive blow. By forcing Russia to protect infrastructure, repair damage, and reroute supplies, Ukraine aims to drain resources. It also seeks to create ongoing instability. This approach fits into a broader pattern seen in recent months. Bridges, depots, and transport hubs have increasingly been targeted. The message is clear. The battlefield is no longer limited to front lines. It now extends deep into supply networks. The uncertainty created by this strike affects military planning. It also affects civilian confidence and international perception. Global observers are watching closely. They want to see how Russia responds. Possible responses include increased air defenses, retaliation, or tighter information control. The coming days will be critical. They will determine whether this incident remains a short-term disruption. It could also mark the beginning of a sustained campaign against Crimea's logistical backbone. The implications reach far beyond a single strike. They could influence the next phase of the war significantly. The potential military consequences of this strike are significant and wide-ranging. Supply disruptions directly affect how long forces can operate at full capacity. Fuel shortages slow vehicle movement. Ammunition delays reduce operational flexibility. Even minor interruptions force commanders to prioritize certain units over others. This can weaken defensive lines and reduce response speed during critical moments. Crimea's geography makes logistics especially sensitive. Most supplies must move through limited corridors. When one route is threatened, pressure increases on all remaining options. Russia may attempt rapid repairs. It may also increase convoy protection or shift supplies to sea and air routes. However, these alternatives are costly and vulnerable. Air transport is limited by capacity. Sea routes face surveillance and attack risks. Ukraine's focus on logistics aims to create cumulative effects rather than instant collapse. Repeated pressure can erode effectiveness over time. This strategy also forces Russia to allocate resources to defense rather than advancing objectives. Every air defense unit guarding infrastructure is one less supporting frontline operations. The strike, therefore, shapes battlefield conditions indirectly. It changes risk calculations. It alters deployment choices. It may slow planned offensives or accelerate withdrawals from exposed positions. The uncertainty itself becomes a weapon. Commanders must plan for worst-case scenarios. This reduces confidence and initiative. While no single strike decides a war-sustained, logistical stress can tip balances gradually. This is why analysts are treating this incident as more than symbolic. It represents a methodical attempt to reshape the operational environment around Crimea and the wider southern front. Beyond military effects, the strike carries strong political and psychological implications. Crimea holds deep symbolic value for the Kremlin. It has been presented as secure, integrated, and permanently controlled. Visible damage challenges that narrative. Images of smoke, fire, or disruption undermine claims of stability. This can influence domestic opinion, even when information is tightly managed. International audiences also pay close attention. Allies and partners assess resilience, credibility, and escalation risks. Ukraine uses such moments to reinforce its position that occupied territories are legitimate targets. This messaging supports diplomatic efforts and continued military assistance. The psychological impact on civilians in Crimea should not be underestimated. Uncertainty affects daily life. Supply concerns raise anxiety. Perceptions of safety shift quickly when infrastructure is threatened. Russia may respond with information control, reassurances, or symbolic actions. It may also increase security measures across the peninsula. These steps can signal concern rather than confidence. At the same time, Ukraine must balance pressure with restraint to maintain international support. Careful framing matters. Emphasizing military necessity and proportionality helps sustain backing. This incident therefore operates on multiple levels. It influences battlefield logistics. It shapes political narratives. It affects morale on both sides. Wars are not fought only with weapons. They are fought with perceptions, expectations, and credibility. In that sense, the strike's impact may extend far beyond physical damage. It contributes to a broader contest over momentum, legitimacy, and resolve in the ongoing conflict. International reactions to developments in Crimea are closely watched. Governments and organizations assess escalation risks and regional stability. Statements are often cautious. Language emphasizes monitoring and concern. Allies may increase intelligence sharing or defensive support without immediate public announcements. Markets and shipping interests also react to perceived instability in the Black Sea region. Insurance cost, routes, and timelines can shift based on security assessments. Russia's response options vary. It may attempt rapid repairs and downplay damage. It may conduct retaliatory strikes elsewhere. It could also strengthen air defenses around infrastructure. Each choice carries trade-offs. Retaliation risks escalation. Heavy defenses divert resources. Denial may strain credibility if evidence contradicts official claims. Ukraine's leadership likely weighs timing and messaging carefully. Sustained pressure aims to keep adversaries off balance while avoiding uncontrolled escalation. The strategic environment is dynamic. Actions trigger counteractions. Observers look for patterns rather than single events. If similar strikes continue, analysts may conclude a coordinated campaign is underway. If activity subsides, the incident may be framed as limited. Either way, the response cycle matters as much as the initial strike. Diplomacy, intelligence, and military planning move together. This is why external actors emphasize de-escalation while preparing for contingencies. Crimea's position at the crossroads of military symbolism and regional security ensures that any disruption attracts global attention and careful interpretation by decision-makers worldwide. Looking ahead, several scenarios are possible. One outcome is rapid repair and normalization. This would reduce immediate impact, but not erase vulnerability. Another scenario involves repeated pressure on related routes. That would compound logistical strain and force strategic adjustments. A third possibility is heightened escalation with broader strikes and counterstrikes. This would increase risks for civilians and infrastructure across the region. The most likely path may be gradual intensification balanced by caution. Both sides seek advantage without triggering wider conflict. Analysts will watch indicators such as repair timelines, convoy movements, and air defense deployments. Changes in these areas reveal priorities and stress points. Information control efforts also provide clues. Increased secrecy often signals concern. Reduced messaging can indicate uncertainty. Ukraine's approach emphasizes flexibility. It adapts based on response. Russia's approach emphasizes resilience. It seeks to demonstrate control. The interaction between these strategies will shape outcomes. For viewers, the key takeaway is context. No single incident defines the war. Patterns do. Logistics matter as much as territory. Perceptions matter as much as firepower. Crimea remains central to both sides' goals. Events affecting its connectivity resonate widely. As this situation develops, staying informed requires careful evaluation of sources and evidence. Sensational claims should be weighed against verified indicators. Understanding the strategic logic helps make sense of unfolding events and avoids overreaction. The coming period will reveal whether this strike marks a turning point or a step within a longer campaign. In addition to military, political, and international considerations, the strike highlights the operational vulnerabilities that large occupying forces face. Sustained reliance on single supply routes creates predictable pressure points. Commanders must constantly weigh risk versus necessity when moving troops, fuel, and equipment. In Crimea, the geography compounds these challenges. Peninsulas have limited corridors and choke points. Alternative routes exist, but they are often longer, slower, and more exposed to attack. Repeated disruption forces planners to divert resources to security and repairs. These measures reduce flexibility and responsiveness. Ukraine's targeting of infrastructure demonstrates an understanding of these operational dynamics. It also signals intent to shape conditions indirectly rather than relying solely on direct confrontation. The psychological dimension cannot be overstated. Knowing that lifelines are under threat affects confidence and morale at every level. Both military personnel and civilians notice delays, disruptions, and increased security presence. Strategic uncertainty becomes part of daily planning. Each decision carries greater weight. Every movement is scrutinized more carefully. Over time, even small cumulative effects can influence larger operational outcomes. Analysts emphasize that operational pressure may gradually constrain Russian options in Crimea. This can create openings elsewhere along the front line. The strike is therefore part of a broader approach. It combines tactical action with operational and psychological leverage. Understanding this helps explain why observers describe the incident as potentially transformative for the southern theater of the war. Media coverage of the strike has amplified its impact. Images, video, and satellite data circulate rapidly online. These provide visual evidence of fires, explosions, and emergency response activities. International news outlets highlight the strategic significance. Commentary often focuses on disruption of Russian logistics and potential consequences for future operations. Social media amplifies urgency and public interest. Narratives about Crimea's vulnerability challenge perceptions of control and stability. This affects domestic and international audiences. Russia faces pressure to manage both operational and informational consequences. Ukraine benefits by demonstrating capability and signaling resilience. Media coverage also shapes diplomatic discussions. Allies and partners interpret these events in the context of broader support and security assessments. Analysts closely monitor coverage for consistency with verified reports. Exaggerated claims are often tempered by satellite imagery or official statements. The combination of physical evidence and media amplification strengthens the strike's strategic effect. It raises awareness beyond immediate military circles. Public perception becomes a factor influencing decision-making. Understanding the interaction between media attention and operational reality is critical. The strike illustrates how modern conflict extends beyond front lines. Information flows rapidly. Narratives evolve. Both sides compete for perception advantage. This dimension adds complexity to planning. It also increases stakes for all actors involved. Careful observation and critical analysis are essential to understanding the implications. Ultimately, the strike serves as a case study in how tactical actions resonate across operational, strategic, and informational domains simultaneously. In conclusion, the strike on Russia's lifeline to Crimea has far-reaching implications. It affects military operations, political narratives, international perceptions, and psychological resilience. Ukraine's targeting of key infrastructure demonstrates strategy, planning, and intent to shape outcomes indirectly. The disruption of logistics forces Russian commanders to adapt under pressure. Civilians and military personnel experience heightened uncertainty. Media coverage amplifies the incident's significance globally. The strike is part of a broader approach designed to create cumulative pressure while avoiding uncontrolled escalation. Future developments will depend on response measures, repair efforts, and continued operational adjustments. Understanding the context helps interpret unfolding events. Wars are shaped by multiple factors simultaneously. Logistics influence frontline outcomes. Perceptions affect morale and decision-making. Geopolitics frames strategic choices. As this situation continues, viewers should pay attention to patterns and verified reports rather than isolated claims. The lessons from this strike provide insight into modern conflict dynamics and how single events can ripple across multiple domains. Staying informed requires critical evaluation. This ensures understanding of consequences for military planners, political leaders, and civilians alike. Thank you for watching and staying updated with accurate analysis. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth coverage of the Ukraine war. Your support helps us bring timely and detailed reporting directly to you. Like the video, share it with friends, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon for updates. Stay informed with accurate news.